John Gomez here with Team Gomez. I have my Dissident Arms KL-12 and I was cleaning it and thought I'd make a quick video for everybody. There's some other videos out there you can watch, but this is just the way I do it. So anyways, I got 3 different levels of cleaning. Typically there's like the field expedient method, the little bit more intermediate level, and then the deep clean, which is basically taking the gun down as much as possible, taking all the springs and trigger and all that stuff out, wiping everything off, probably getting some degreaser on it to get all the oil out of it and everything else. So, but for this one, I just kind of did a little bit of an intermediate clean on it. So basically cleaning the things that you need to clean. The field expedient method is kind of like when you're at a 3-gun match and in between days, you got to do a pretty quick clean if you want to, or you could do a deep clean if you want, but you got other guns you got to clean. And for Juanetza and I, basically that doubles the guns. But anyways, so what I do for the most part when we go out there, I have a little nylon bag that I usually stick everything into, and I got some EWL, I got some extreme weapons grease from Slip 2000. I use Slip 2000 just because it works, and it has for me for 20 years, so it works. I trust it impeccably. So anyways, for the cleaning aspect of stuff, I usually just will wipe out the inside of the KL-12, make sure I get all the gunk and dirt and carbon out of it. Remove the bolt carrier, I guess that's what you would call it, or the bolt, that's the bolt basically. So take this assembly out, make sure you clean this really quick, kind of just use like a brass brush or something to wipe it off. That's what I usually do. I get a bore snake and I run it through. Depending on the chokes, usually I don't do too much with the chokes while I'm at a competition, at a major match, major 3-gun match. I usually just leave those alone because I pre-cleaned them and lubed them, put some grease on them already. Choke grease, not this grease, but you could probably use that, but I still use choke grease. Anyways, so I'll wipe all this stuff down, clean it, make sure everything's good, put some new grease in it in certain spots because the stories I've heard are kind of interesting. Then I'll put some grease on the inside after I wipe out the old grease and reassemble it. The biggest thing that I had to learn this the hard way, the biggest thing that I learned with this, depending on the type of ammo you're using, we changed over from Rio. We use that in like practice sessions. There's some federal stuff that we use as well, but Winchester's AA's, we like the 1300 feet per second, 1 1/8 ounce 8-shot. We usually, it burns a lot cleaner and it's a lot cleaner to run. This little puck will make it or break it, basically. Do not, after you clean this, do not put oil on it or put oil in the hole that it goes to in here. Don't put any oil in there whatsoever. Keep it dry. Wipe it out, you know, get a towel, whatever. I like using these little microfiber towels because it works out really good. And just wipe it out after it's clean and stuff like that. Inside here at a match, I usually will use this carbon steel brush to scrub out most of it, and it comes with the little pick. Let's see where the pick is. Here it is. It comes with this pick right there. I think I got it at, I want to say Carolina Shooter Supply or something like that. Josh Fralick, on one of his videos, recommended getting this, and it definitely helps a lot. It gets, for out in a match and everything, pretty easy, pretty quick, clean. It gets it pretty clean and everything else, or gets it clean enough that it's going to run without any issues. You don't have to worry about this. And this either makes it or break it, because if you're having problems here, the gun isn't going to run right. I don't care what you're shooting. So when I do in-depth, as in taking all the springs and hammer, taking it completely, stripping it down completely as much as possible without taking the barrel off and all that nonsense, cleaning the comp and all that other stuff and everything, what I'll do is I got a Dremel. I know, Dremels. Yeah. So I have a Dremel, I have an angle tool, and I use a little steel wire brush that's kind of coned. You know, see that a little bit? And I'll use that to put in here and clean this. I don't go crazy with it. I'm not pushing really strong and really wringing it out and stuff like that because I don't want to change the dimensions of the hole that's in there. So I just lightly go through. It just helps me clean it out a little bit easier without really getting in there and scraping it and stuff. Now, if you're going to scrape anything in there, I was told a long time ago, you'd be very, very careful with dental tools. This is a stainless steel dental tool. I use it to scrape in here lightly. I can't stress that enough. Very, very lightly. Don't go crazy digging in there because this may be harder steel than what this is, and it's going to make a groove in there, and you don't want that. You're going to have a whole bunch of other problems. So anyway, so I use this only maybe once or twice a year, and I use the Dremel maybe once or twice a year, and that's it. Everything else I do is just intermediate cleans and stuff like that. I'll throw up some photos too of before and after I cleaned it and how it should look. With the puck, not only getting the face of ear clean, basically, there's also the channels that carbon will get in there, and so you got to clean that out too. What I'll usually do is use a 3/32 punch, which kind of fills in that U channel right here very well, and I just kind of lightly run it through, and it actually scrapes out a lot of the carbon. So then I'll get a brass brush with the little small teeth on it and scrub in there and stuff like that. So it'll clean it, obviously. Let's see here. Other parts to worry about cleaning, stuff like that, is inside. Like I said, I'll post some photos. Inside here, when you clean everything out and stuff, it should be pretty dry besides the grease and where you're putting the grease. And your grease should stick to where it is. So you end up being where you have this in there and stuff like that. Wanting it says coaching me, saying, what about this? What about that? Thanks, babe. So anyways, the getting in there and stuff like that, you clean it out. You can get really detailed if you want to. If you're doing it like once or twice a year to really degrease everything, you can take everything out and spray in there and everything else. Getting the barrel stuff and everything else, and getting the threads where the chokes reside, getting that clean. Typically what I'll use is a mop on a rod, cleaning rod, and I'll go in there and I'll just sacrifice the mop basically, and I'll just run it through and make sure all the threads in there, everything's nice and clean. So when the chokes go in there after I put new grease on them and everything, they go in there and I know everything's clean and stuff. But like I said, I want to do that once or twice a year depending on how much we're shooting. Oil. Here's another big thing. Oil. I use EWL. I've been using this for two decades basically, or longer. There's only two places that I use oil, and that's it. A lot of people use oil a lot more places. You don't need to. I really don't think you do. I use oil. There's a bolt. See this rod, that shaft that basically just goes in out here? That's where I use oil. I put a couple drops of oil on there, and then I run it back and forth to make sure it's nice and oiled. As you can tell, there's a little sheen on there, so that has a little bit of oil. I use oil on that, and then I use a little bit of oil on the springs that'll run inside the bolt carrier. I don't put oil inside this channel here, basically. I put the oil actually on the springs, and then I put the springs in there. Yes, I do clean that up every time I clean that. I just get a little patch and a cleaning rod, run it down there just to get the excess. That way it doesn't gum up or anything. Not that it has so far, but I'd rather be proactive. So I do oil on there, oil on this, and that's the only places I use oil. I don't use oil any place else on this firearm. Not on the springs, not on anything. So other than that, that's pretty much it. Like I said, I'll throw up some more photos of before and afters, what I clean, what I don't clean. I'll try to put some arrows and stuff like that, because I don't think you guys want to watch me clean my shotgun. That'd be kind of boring. I'll save you the pain on that. So anyways, okay. So it's once or twice a year, depending on how much you're shooting. It's a really good idea to strip this thing down and really go through it. Really, it's the same like any other maintenance on any of your other firearms and stuff like that, except for this is a shotgun, so it's really going to get dirty, especially if you're shooting a lot of slugs or something else. The barrel is really going to get dirty. I use a tornado brush as well as a little bit of a wire brush and a mop. Basically, a tornado brush looks like this. That's what I call a tornado brush. I don't know what it really actually is called. Maybe it is called a tornado brush. I don't know. But what I'll do is I'll get this and I'll end up running it through. Sometimes I have a cable that I'll attach it to a drill and just slowly go around. Just because some matches, I'm sure you guys know, or if you don't, some of these matches you will shoot. If one hits and I share the same shotgun, so one shooter will shoot anywhere between 40 to 50 slugs, and so that's a lot of lead gumming up the barrel. So what we'll do is I'll use this, clean it out, make sure it's completely clean inside and everything, so don't have to worry about it as far as accuracy or anything else. And of course I use a snake. Make sure I don't drop anything. This snake is from Slip 2000. It's their bore snake that they have. It has a little wire brush there on the front that is replaceable. And this, as you can tell, it's kind of used. It's worn. I've used it a lot, happily. It works. I'll take this to a match with us when we go to a major, and I'll run it through a few times, depending on how many slugs we've shot. And then I'll have a cleaning rod that's you can break it down. Let's see, there it is. It's a Pro Shot Products cleaning rod. It's intended for shotguns. It goes down to .27 caliber all the way up to 12 gauge. It goes 36 inches. It's 3-piece. So I'll take this with us just in case, because this cleans pretty much everything. We're shooting PCC, we're shooting our pistols. I'm gonna do a quick reassembly. It doesn't take very long at all. So here's the puck, planed. Put that in there. Make sure you put the hole where this is gonna grab onto the bolt carrier on the front end. Put this in first. That's what you want. So, and this is the cover or retainer as well, whichever way you want it. Make sure you put this end where it's angled, the angle part right here, you put it up. And the back side is actually slotted like that. So it can only go either this way or the other way, and if you try to put it in the wrong way, it's not gonna go in there right. So, there's that. And then you go, this little lever right here is what locks this piece in. I try not to scratch things up, so I use a plastic toothbrush. There you go. Make sure you put it all the way down. There's a little indentation right here, actually on the top part of the frame that this snaps into. So that's in there. Open this up. Get the bolt and the bolt carrier. Make sure the bolt is in the correct position with the lug. This lug basically right there. Make sure it's in the correct channel in the bolt carrier and push it forward a little bit. That's just what I do. You can do whatever you want. I put my thumb on the back side of it just to be sure I got it in the right orientation and that it's not going to pop out. The rod right here, put it in the top hole. Set it on there. So the hammer is going to push up on the bolt, on the bottom part of the bolt, so which is obviously going to push on the top part of the bottom part of the bolt carrier group. So you basically just push it in, slide it forward, There you go. Next up, recoil springs. Now, this one is the one that goes in the back to lock the cover closed. So put that in there. This has a little thin coat of oil on it. So there it goes. So that's in there, fine, okay. Before I close this cover, I usually just do a function check on it just to make sure I can see everything working. See it? Something's wrong. What's wrong? That is lined up correctly. There you go. Make sure you get your bolt orientation correct. That's gonna ride on top of the rails. Stuff like that. If you don't get it right, then you know it's okay. Live and learn. There's that. There you go. And it works. Works fine now. So I just slam it shut. It works. There you go. She's ready to go. All right. Awesome. What I usually do after I get it all ready to go and stuff like that, I get my chamber flag. And this is just me. You can do whatever you want. And there. So she's ready now. I don't have to worry about anything right here. Everything's good to go. The only other things I would check is your optics. Make sure the glass is clean. Make sure the batteries are changed. If you can't remember the last time you changed the battery, change the battery. They're cheap. It works out better that way for everybody. Nice. All right. Well, okay. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it. If you got any comments, please put them below and I'll try to address them as I can. And if you got any recommendations, by all means, if you do something differently with yours than I do with mine, let me know that as well. I'm always happy to learn something new. Whenever you end up having if you follow our channel or if you don't follow our channel, please subscribe if you don't mind. It helps us out a lot. And other than that, we'll see you on the range. Thanks again for watching. Bye. One other thing I almost forgot about. One of the very important things, magazines. You want to clean these every time. If you can, which I have one for an example down here. It's been dropped in the mud. It was, I think, Fort Benning. If you can, take it apart, dunk it in water, scrub it, make sure you get all the dirt off of it and everything else and stuff like that. Thoroughly dry it. I mean, yeah, I can probably run a little bit with a little water in it because you're going to run some matches when it's raining and you got no choice. But yeah, definitely take care of your magazines. If they start looking worn or the feed lips look a little worn out or anything else, because it is a 12-gauge shotgun after all. If it starts looking a little bit worn or something else like that, replace it. Go to DissidentArms.com and have them order a magazine from them, and we end up preferring the ones that are tuned by them, that's already pre-assembled and stuff like that, because I know some people want to try to do it themselves, and next thing you know, they have issues. You're going to spend about the same amount of money anyways, so you might as well just go ahead and order one already pre-assembled. You get it, you load it, you run it, it's done. you ain't got to worry about it. We like the 20 rounders are good, but we prefer the 15s depending on the stage. We've got a drum as well, 25 round drum, which is pretty handy, but you also got to take off the mag well on the bottom part of the KL-12 because it will not work with this. Other than that, be sure you clean your magazines. So, and these require no oil, no lube, no nothing on them. Just clean them, dry them off, wipe everything off and stuff like that. Sometimes I'll use the degreaser on a microfiber towel, and I just wipe everything off, make sure it gets all the crud, the carbon, and everything else off of them, and then put them back together, and they work fine. So, anyways, thanks again.